Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome to Horses and Biscuits. This great little podcast that we do to discuss the development of the production and TV pilot, Karen. Today we're going to be speaking to writers. I want to find out what goes into writing the perfect script, what goes on behind the scenes. You know, can you do a quick rewrite? Are there things that you think about for years that suddenly have to change on set and break your heart? I don't know. And to help us get through this, of course, we're speaking to Rocking Horses' very own Mr. Gareth. How are you, sir? You good?
Yeah, not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Good.
Surviving the weekend. It's good.
Yeah, we're so far so good.
Yes. And to help us decipher what goes into making the perfect script or writing the perfect TV pilot, I suppose, you brought a couple of friends, one of which you guys have seen many times on the show before, Mr. Luke Allen. How are you, sir?
I'm good. And you say you've seen many times within the chat. I think we did a brief live. We did a brief thing at the audition.
You are only.
Did a brief thing at the auditions. But I was just thinking now, how's this my first time properly on a Horse and Biscuit stream?
My biggest worry is now Luke's on the show. Have we got any listeners?
Yeah, you guys in the comments.
I've got it open on my phone. We're good.
Yeah, come on, guys, give us some comments. I'm expecting
we need to find
a few references to the fact that Gareth, if you're talking about writing scripts, can we have a script, please? I'm waiting for a few comments like that.
You've got us. We'll give you comments like that.
Yeah, I know you will. Yeah.
and along with Luke, we've brought in the amazing NASA, who's a writer whose work I've met you before at the auditions. I've just seen some of your work before. NASA, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's like kind of the first time, right?
Sort of. First time live. Yeah, first time live.
But here we are.
Here we are. Oh yes, I forgot we did that that mishmash thing that we turned up at the auditions. We're like, we're gonna do a live show, and it couldn't work, and we all just sat and just did these interviews. So I'm sorry I forgot about that. That was just a nuts day. It was just crazy.
It was a crazy day.
Luke Allen is in the chat.
Why? It's why he's not been on so far, you know?
Yeah.
It's not any on.
This show is live, of course, guys. And if you want to get some questions in for anybody today, please get them in the comments. Or if you don't want to be shown up on the screen like I do, you can inbox us as well. Whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. All right. The last show we did, we said goodbye to Steph, which was heartbreaking. But it was just a beautiful episode where we all got to say goodbye to our good friend Steph, who isn't dying, by the way. She said a million times on the episode, "I'm not dying. I can't do the project anymore." If you missed that, the audio episode is out now, so make sure you can check that out. Goodbye, Steph, for now. Right, Gareth, how do you write a script? This is what we want to ask today.
Well, you load up Final Draft, which is the software that we use, the industry standard software that we use to do that with. But if you're a bit early on in things and you think, well, under 200 quid, it's not cheap. We know that. It's not cheap for us, never mind anyone else. There's lots of free versions out there. Like Celltex is a great one to start. That's what I started on. I
did it worse in the fact that I read how to format a script and then I spent hours working out how to do that on Word. Which works. Yeah. You can do it, but you spend a lot less time writing and a lot more time. Every line, hang on, I need to push that margin in by an extra inch, kind of thing.
But to answer your question, Alex, I think what you do before you even do that is you wait for the idea to come to you. You don't go to an idea; they come to you. And then I've never sat in front of a screen and gone, "I need to write a script now." I probably should do that more often, but
you've had emails on the front on your screen telling you need to write a script now.
Yeah, that counts, doesn't it? But the idea comes to you, and if you think, "Oh, that's good," and then you start. And I know what's interesting. I know me, NASA, and Luke have got very different methods, and I look forward to hearing what theirs are. But for me, is I spend a lot of time in like what's called a treatment and outlines and stuff. I never go straight into a screenplay ever. I just couldn't because I get so confused. I need to have almost like dialogue for dialogue, line for line in a treatment. And then for me, it's like, well, if you get that almost so specific, then it's not quite a copy and paste job because you always end up putting more in when you come to the screenplay to an extent. But by and large, the whole thing is for me is structured before I even put the slug in, before I do the heading of the script, before I even start the actual script. I pretty much got it all nailed down. That's how I do it.
Is that so you don't spend like 18 hours writing something, then read it back and go, "Oh, it's terrible."
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. I don't know what you guys think on that one. What you do?
I mean, I never do a treatment.
Never.
No, I've never written one. I was
okay.
thinking about one for Sweetheart with my original producers, but I've never written one just because it's not like me. I just prefer to just start writing and see where the page
I completely agree. I don't put a plan out. I don't do anything else. But with Karen, I am going to do a treatment because there's going to be the kind of I've got to take that. There's no point me writing the script and then you saying, "Hang on, Luke, you're not allowed to kill Izzy. It's episode 3." If I've got the treatment, then I can send it to you before the script's gone in. But I quite like putting pen to paper and coming up with stuff as I go. Sometimes it can be really unproductive. Sometimes, back with Reduced to Clear, Alex and I would often spend 5-hour Zoom meetings, and all we'd come up with is that we want to get rid of something we've already written. So sometimes that isn't great. But I quite like the freedom of not knowing where the story's going to go. But that's short form, so it could be different. But also, if you come up with an ending, sometimes I'll write scenes in a different order. I don't know whether you do that, Gareth. Sometimes I'm writing and I'll go, I know I want it to end this way. I can't figure out how I'm going to get here yet. So I'll put block caps. I'll put write more here later, and then I'll write the ending I want. And then I may adjust, and I may go, oh, the ending doesn't work now. But I don't let that stop me. I don't want the writer's block of I don't know what to do. If I don't know what to do, I'll skip it and I'll come back to it later.
Yeah, see, I'm very rigid in that sense. Which is really strange because in every other aspect of my life, I'm so laid back and disorganized. But when it comes to this is the one thing I'm very, very strict on with myself, and I'm like, no, you have a process, stick to it, and that's just me. But I'm very not fluid when it comes to scripts. But it's interesting that these guys are. So
it's good that you guys got different techniques. I mean, it's confusing in the academic sense. I guess. I mean, is there an academic way where there's a set format? This is what you do, kids. This is how you write a script, and if you deviate from the path.
Well, Gareth didn't study academically, but Gareth is doing it more to what the academics would probably say than
which is ironic, really.
Is literally studying it. But I also, whilst there are advantages to studying it, I also don't think studying it really is any qualification other than the odd extra bit of experience.
What I would say though, Al, on that point is we can talk about different styles, and that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, the way the industry is, and something that's really important for people to listen if they're looking to get into this sort of stuff, is the end screenplay has to be formatted the same way. Because if it's even slightly different, it's very snobbish of the industry. It's the way it works. You might come out with the best script ever. It could be the story could be like banging, but if it's not formatted to a certain standard, with the the margins and all that and all the rest of it, or the right font, even the size of the font, if that's not completely to uniform standard, producers will just put it in the bin. They won't even read it.
And it's weird because there are some things where there's a strange amount of lenience on within a script, like your when you write on your descriptions in terms of like capitalizing names, for example. Writers differ on whether they capitalize key props, capitalizing names, all the rest. That sort of stuff, it doesn't actually matter. But formatting and margins, I don't think it's changed since the typewriter days.
No, it's very, very old fashioned in that sense. And the thing is, the trouble is, these guys, you got to think they get about 50 scripts on their desk a day, and they've got to whittle it down somehow. So that's the first thing they go for is what isn't looking right, and I'll just bin it because they're going to have got less to do. It's really negative, but it's just the way it is.
A little bit like that. There you go. Ignoring my annotations, but
I was checking one of mine, but I couldn't say. Is it?
No, it's Reduced to Clear.
It's not. I don't care then.
It was. I think it's actually. I'm not sure. I just looked over to me and I found that there was a script on my desk, so I just
But yeah, I mean, it's said that a lot of producers, if they're looking for optioning, greenlighting something which they want for a certain running time, they will pick up a script and they will know how long it's going to be running time wise by how heavy it is.
Yeah, and this is what I was going to bring up. Actually, I was watching. Have you guys seen The Movies That Made Us? Have you watched that on Netflix?
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah. And I watched the one. I think it was Forrest Gump, and the script, like this, they had this box of script. They picked it up. It felt weighty enough. They were, it's good thickness. The font was good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A quick breeze through, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll make this one." all those movies in the box were just probably put in an incinerator somewhere. Do you know what I mean? And that's how movies are made. And that's like, what?
Yeah.
So like when it comes to what you guys are doing independently, right? And I'll go to NASA because I've just seen your Sweetheart video, which we will show in a bit. When it comes to making something yourself, obviously you're not going to a big production company. You're not going, look at my script. You're making it yourself. Have you got to grab someone visually? Make a little bit of the script, grab someone visually, and then go on to make it a bit like a pilot.
I mean, yeah. I think if you can grab someone in, like from a visual standpoint, when they read your script and they can picture each scene, you've probably already got their backing. I know one of the first people I showed the script to was my DOP, AJ, who is like on the project now. He said when I gave the script to him, one of the very first drafts, and the script's come a long way since then. It was a very he could say that he could see the script as a film, and it hasn't even translated onto the screen yet. So I think as a writer, you want to make sure that you can grip your people in by making it as visual as possible. And I think Gareth and Luke would agree that it's like you can see the film as you read the script for Sweetheart, and I think that's what the lads are also talented at, is like seeing when I read their script, I can see what's happening as I'm reading it, and it's just like it gives you confidence.
But what is interesting as well is that it takes a level of bravery as a writer as well to do that, especially if we're coming at this level where often we're writing to produce ourselves and we're writing to direct and make ourselves, and we know we've got limited budgets or whatever. There's sometimes you think, do I want to give a heavy description because I'm never going to be able to afford to make a place look exactly like that, and it's kind of how detailed do you go in describing stuff. And there's a lot of stuff. I'm reading a book at the moment called The Writer's Tale, which is by Russell T Davies, about his time.
All about the
on
props
Doctor
there,
Who.
aren't you?
Yeah. It's all about his time.
props.
All about his time on Doctor Who. It's a big chunky book, but it's about 1,000 pages of all of his emails and stuff from the last 2 years of writing Doctor Who. And so it's like the full process of pitching down to script writing to everything else. And he talks a lot about pacing, which is like in the descriptions and stuff, which you don't really think about a ton. Where it's like you can spend ages describing something, but then if you're describing something in what's supposed to be a fast-paced scene, as a reader, it doesn't flow. And there's so much, because it's quite interesting, because obviously that's not what you see on screen. I watch some of my favorite films. You don't know how they wrote it, but that first time that someone sat at their desk and opened that script, if it's paced wrong, if it's just too much description, too little description, if it's formatted wrong, anything else, it could be the same film on paper, but it won't get made.
That scene in 1914, that really long one-shot scene that they had of him running down the trenches, and I can imagine that would just been a writing nightmare. Like, it's got to be perfect. You've got all these background characters moving around. You've got machines and you've got vehicles rolling over, and you've got explosions going off. To write a script of, that is a script of the highest caliber. Doesn't. But also,
if you're a writer and you're not directing, you don't want to tread on the director's toes either. There's if you say close up to this, cut to this, wide angle over you can do it to a degree. If you focus on it too much, a director will read your script and go, but that's my job. What have you got me on to do?
And I think also because the thing is, a script, obviously it's for producers, whatever, but also you're trying to sell it to the actors. The actors need to buy into it, and I think once you start putting directions in and too much stuff like close up of this, close up of that.
If it's something really, really key, if you're a writer picturing it in a completely a significant scene, you're picturing a certain way, go for it.
But other than that,
write it on a different document.
But other than that, I just think it kills it just kills it dead. A script shouldn't be technical. A shooting script, which is something else entirely, is a separate document for a reason. A shooting script is when someone's got the spec script and they've gone through it all, and a director or DOP has gone through and annotated, okay, we'll have a close-up of Izzy here, and then we'll have a wide shot of Karen. That's what that's for. So you shouldn't be bogging your actual original script down with too much of that, because otherwise you are just going to bore people. Because ultimately, the first person who reads that script, that's your audience. Before you're on the screen, that is an audience. You need to sell that.
Yeah. And obviously, you're still talking shooting scripts, and you say shooting scripts obviously have more details. With me here, I have the script for About Time by Richard
I was going
Curtis.
to say, so Love Actually about time.
Of course
I
he does.
have a Love Actually script up there, but I have this About Time script, and even in there, he's not. There is description, and description is important. He's not bogged down in describing stuff. Like, you know, you've got the general picture of it, and you know what you got, and you're moving on. And I think that's it. It's the rhythm, it's the pacing. You know, I could sit and read this if I hadn't seen About Time. And there's a lot of scenes in this script, which I don't even know if I'm allowed to disclose because they never made it into the film. And this isn't like a public thing.
I won't tell if you don't.
But there's a lot of scenes in there that like are, you know, I don't know the location, I don't know anything else, but you can read it and you can picture it perfectly.
Yeah.
But if he spent ages, you know, writing like Victor Hugo did when he wrote Les Mis, spends 9 chapters describing what the Parisian sewer systems look like, you lose it.
Yeah. But also, there is a lot of unfairness in the industry. Because I remember, like, I can't remember what film it was now, but Quentin Tarantino, he wrote. I think it was Quentin Tarantino. It might have been someone else. Sorry, Quentin.
I think you're thinking Quentin Tarantino. If it's what I think you're going to say. And
literally, it was like a page of just sort of self-celebration, kind of just self-indulgent description of a scene. Now, if you weren't Quentin Tarantino and you put that on a producer's desk, they're not even going to read it because they're going to look at that and think nothing's happening. It's just there's way too much description. But once you get going, if you're a Ridley Scott or you're a Quentin Tarantino, you can put what you like and people will read it because it's Quentin Tarantino. So it's you can break all the rules you like, but you have to be someone first.
Well, yeah, that's it. Is you have to show that you know the rules before you break them. Yeah. Otherwise, you look incompetent. Like that's the which I've looked at a point for a while. So I'd maybe advise if anyone here is listening who wants to get into writing or directing. I mean, you both feel free to disagree with me.
I already do.
Your first film, don't make your big artistic masterpiece. Make something, you know, go write it, get the stuff there. But I think understand the rules before you try and be the next big filmmaker to change how narrative structure works. Show that you know how it works first, so that then we can appreciate that you've done something different.
I mean, one thing that Luke mentioned about not going too mad with directions and descriptions and stuff, where I sort of cut my teeth and learnt my trade, because they wouldn't let me go to college. But Al, can you believe that? I wasn't allowed to do film at college.
No boldies allowed.
Exactly. I know, yeah. Shrewsbury College, naming no names. But it's fine. I'm past it. But what I learned from what I started on was doing these short screenplay competitions where you have to do it all in 5 pages. Because if you can do it all in 5 pages, then you can do just about any other format there is. Because if you can get enough description out and still tell a story in 5 pages, then feature films is nothing. Because I would suggest that if you want to sort of get into it and you're worried about discipline or not going too mad with descriptions and stuff, then enter these short screenplay competitions when you have set rules and you are not
never.
Yes, you have. That's how we met, wasn't it?
Yeah, the loop.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's how we even got talking.
Trying to write a script. And I remember I was like, oh my God, this is like 6 pages long. This is going to be amazing. And someone was like, yeah, that's probably about 30 seconds of film. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, the issue as well, I think some people, and I completely understand it. And I think we might even have willing to say that at points we've been the same. Don't view shorts as below you ever.
No.
Like, or never see that as it's not feature. I know I'm saying this as someone who's not made a feature, so it's a little tongue in cheek in that point. But short form media and long form media are 2 different things. They're 2 different worlds. It's easier to try a short because money and all the likes, but also they are 2 different processes that. Yeah. There's certain snobbery, I think, where you've got filmmakers who might be like, I've made a feature and so-and-so's only made shorts.
Yeah, but I mean, shorts are like incredibly undervalued. Like, there's so many good ones out there.
I think they're harder to write. They're harder to write. For me, they're harder to write because I'm so obsessed with detail and making things complicated and complex. And I couldn't do well. Hopefully, I can because I'm doing one in a few weeks. But as a rule, I find shorts really difficult.
Yeah, but the short that you're doing in a few weeks, you sent the script over to us, and it's 54 pages long.
Exactly. That's my point.
So yeah, it's interesting because I think, I'm looking forward to going on to writing for Karen because longer form media, I've done a couple of longer form stuff that I've written that no one's seen. But as a whole, I think at a short level, every moment, every line matters, which you should think the same for longer form. But at the end of the day, with the short form, you can't have a line. I don't think you can't really have a scene, a piece of dialogue that just like establishes a relationship between characters or something. You need every little bit to further the plot along, to keep the pacing through. Whereas when you move to longer form media, you get the chance to kind of practice a little bit and go, you know what, this is just a scene that we have in because it's funny.
It's finding the balance, I guess, between going, he looks at her as if he knows the lady, rather than going, he notices the sunlight breeze across her face when the wind just gently picks up the fringe of her hair.
That's another thing. That's another thing. When you're writing directions and scripts, don't go saying stuff that the audience won't know. Don't go saying, here's John, he has a brother who's 7 and he has if you're not showing it on screen, don't write it in the script.
There's a very simple phrase for that, and it's so simple. Remember this, budding writers out there. Say what you see. That's it. If you can't see it, leave it out.
I love it.
Which is interesting, because once again, I have read some scripts for like the top high quality films that spend ages giving that big block of description before their character. Like I can't remember. I think it might have been Taxi Driver or something.
Again,
we read a bit in our film class, and it was just like. It was such a big kind of paragraph about, and he's like this. And I remember they said, like, you know, he slept with a woman last night and the smell of sex still carries on. So it's like, I don't know. I don't get that from watching the scene.
See, the thing is, what you need to be clever about is it's perfectly okay to basically imply what Luke's talking about, but you don't say, oh, last night he did this, that, and the other. You just say he looks tired. The implication is enough. You don't need to say, he's tired because of this.
You write that stuff down and you tell your actors.
Yeah, but even at a script level, I think you can get away with it, but you just make it physical, so it's visible. So it's like, he's just knackered, you know?
Down. Or like, quite frankly, I got bored reading the opening page of Taxi Driver script.
So things can be too short and they can be too long.
No. Yeah. It's weird. It is crazy.
I've been writing a script, and it's not for any. It's for the sellers thing that I'm making, and it's literally like camera following Chris whilst the narrator says, Chris is an urban explorer from Shrewsbury, and then we like next scene looking at Nigel Baker is a well-known archaeologist from Shrewsbury. Next shot, drone shot of we're getting drones and stuff, like it's amazing. But like
no drones in our care home.
I can't like put dialogue in because I am not an archaeologist and I am not an urban explorer, so I have to just let them ad-lib that a little bit. I can't just be like, Chris, I'm going to give you a script to say, or Nigel, I'm going to give you...
Even the best do that, though. Like, one of my all-time... Well, no, my all-time favourite episode of Doctor Who, Vincent and the Doctor.
Oh, who wrote that one, Luke?
Written by Richard Curtis.
Yeah,
there is which I should say, weirdly, was my favourite episode for years before I even knew who Richard Curtis was.
Funny that, wasn't it?
Before I had any idea who he was. And then I was like, oh, this screenwriter's cool. What's he written? I was like, oh, he wrote my favourite episode of Doctor Who. That's interesting. But anyway, Vincent and the Doctor, there's a big, powerful scene, I'm sure you'll recall, where Bill Nighy is talking about Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Richard Curtis just knew that Bill Nighy was a Van Gogh fan, and he just said, just talk about how you like Van Gogh. And that was it. And that's what that scene is. That is one of the most emotional moments in all of Doctor Who. And he just said,
it's a very good scene,
Wow.
I mean,
although if it's your first script that you're sending out to people, maybe just write something. Similarly, don't go writing in your first script. Actors say something, we'll ad-lib it on the day.
One example of that was locally with our own stuff. We're about to do this Izzy versus Jess comic release special where our autistic character from our previous projects meets Izzy, of course played by Orla Jones from Karen, and one thing that as the autistic character that she always does is that when she's stressed, she does what's called stimming, which is what a lot of people on the spectrum do to regulate themselves once they start to panic or they're nervous. It could be a physical thing, or they can mutter something to themselves obsessively. And with her, it's 1:53.28, which is the world record in female athletics at 800 meters. So she's obsessed with it. So when she gets, say if you shouted at her just now, she was on a live podcast with Alan, didn't know what to say next, and she was panicking. which I'm sure happens to lots of people, is she would mutter.
Get on with it, Gareth. Get on with it.
She'd mutter 153.28 to herself. And in the scripts now, that's written in. Whereas to show that the trust that I had with the actress who played Jess for so many years, who's coming back to play the part one last time, is I got to a point I wrote a script with dialogue in it, and I said, you just throw in the 153.28 when you want. Like, you read it and you just put in as the character when you think she should do it, rather than me writing it. And I just felt that when you get into the flow of a big monologue or whatever, it would be much more natural if she just does it as she feels is right than me tell her when to do it.
Yeah, and for those of us reading the script, it will play fine on the screen. But if I'm reading a big monologue scene and then after every sentence she says 153.28, I might turn that script down and go, nah, can't be doing with this.
Yeah.
It's got to be a bit of leniency into the context that's added on to why certain things would happen, I guess, and you've maybe got to hide that. I've got to say though, I do love a good short as much as I love a good feature or a good TV episode. Like one of some of the best writing in TV at the moment is Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty for me is up here. Morty's Mind Blowers, right, is a collection of crazy things that's happened to Morty and made his mind blow, right? And there's also an episode of Rick and Morty called The Vat of Acid. If you've never watched Rick and Morty and you think, oh, this is this vulgar program, there's lots of swearing and stuff, go and watch The Vat of Acid. It's one of the most beautiful things and horrific.
Can I just say to people who've watched Rick and Morty and haven't seen Community, they should also go watch Community?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, same right.
Sam Harmon, yeah.
My NASA, you were saying that shorts are important too, and sometimes it's just as difficult to write a short. How has it been transitioning to writing a full episode? I don't know, of Karen from a short. What's the difference there for you guys?
Well, as we haven't written anything really, it's I don't think it's too weird for me. I wrote longer scripts before. I've done I think the longest script I've wrote is maybe about 60 pages. So it's not like alien territory. I've been there before. So it's I don't think going from shorts to, writing a episode, 60 odd pages is going to be too much of a challenge personally. But I guess the jump is, I think you just level up as a writer, naturally. As the more you write, the more's going to come. And, then suddenly you're writing a 10-page script and now it's a 20-page script. Sweetheart first started as a 10-page script and now it's 23, 24. So it's you just kind of, as you get better, you add pages and you add pages because you find more things to write about. Life experience is really good as a writer. I might talk to someone, absolutely can't stand them as a person, but their story and the things they hold with them are really good. I work in a pub, some of the people there, horrible people, but I listen to their stories and I'm you might make a feature in my script one day. Because it's just you absorb all this information to just put onto it.
So is this to say that if anyone ever sits paranoid watching a film and thinking, someone's been watching me, then maybe it's true?
Maybe.
It's a really good point NASA just made about you do pick stuff up. One idea, and hope no one steals this because I haven't actually made this yet. But
hold on. Do we let Gareth say this before? Could we do what we should do? Are you going to drop yourself in it, Gareth?
But probably. But I was working in a hotel back in the day. It was a really, really crap hotel, which no one's staying in when they come up for the auditions, luckily. But I just got told secondhand this story of some old fella who used to work for the police. But during it was in the 60s. The police force after the war, and so many people had obviously gone and died in that, was they were crying out for police officers who could write, literally just not as in write scripts, but had were literate. There were so many people in the police force who literally could not even write notes. It was that bad. So one guy who was a poet for I need a job, and poetry is not really paying too good. So he joined the police force based purely on the fact that he knew he could write. He had no experience. He wasn't a big guy go find criminals or nothing. But he thought, I'm an Oswald Street. I'm a local guy. What's the worst that can happen? I'll go on my bike and I'll go and solve some crimes. It's all right, and all that. And because things got so bad down south with the Cray twins, he got sent down there to do crime fighting. And this is literally a guy who just writes he's a poet, and he finds himself up against Ronnie and Reggie and all that. And I thought that's a comedy waiting to happen. So Luke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you go give me an idea after you've told the world. That's lovely.
Yeah.
That thriller you called me about on Christmas Day. Had you posted that on Facebook first, or?
No. Well, yeah, but there was no takers, so I gave it to you after.
I had this idea for a thing like I don't care if someone steals it, because if someone goes and makes it into a great thing, I'm happy because I'm not going to make it. But it's a Napoleonic War sort of drama. And you start off the story from one side, from the British point of view, and what this guy's going through the battle. And then you start off at the French side, same point in the story, what he's going through for the battle. And they sort of meet up in the middle. And I thought that was a really good idea to show how enemies might think of each other and how their perceptions may change during a battle. I thought, oh, that'd be quite a beautiful idea. So somebody please make that for me. Thanks.
This is a very, very random interjection, but I also kind of want to say that when I talked about treatments, when we were talking about treatments earlier, and I said like I don't do them. One occasion in which I think it is important, and I do a mini version of treatments, sort of in this case, is when you're dealing with a very serious theme that needs a lot of research. So like a project I've got on at the moment that Gareth is aware of, as well as like when I did stuff like Unstable, things like that. Like a level of treatment I think has to be done then, because then you can go to people in research and say, we want to do this. How is this in line with what you're doing? And then get back in touch with people, send the script over, do the rest. Research is always important, but yeah, I think you need a treatment then, because I couldn't just do Unstable and go, I want to make a movie about addiction, I'm just going to write it and see what happens. Like stuff has to go in place then. But when as a comedy writer, which is still how I'm defining myself, despite the fact that I think it's about 50-50 in what I've done, I don't do treatments for comedy. I just kind of let the jokes carry the plot as I come up with them.
And you know, sometimes you've just got to try something. Like when it comes to writing, I imagine, before you find the thing. I mean, you calling yourself at the moment a comedy writer, but I mean, you may do something further down the line where you're like, actually, this feels great.
I said this to Gareth last night, didn't I? I said, like, I define myself as a comedy writer because I've just written a comedy. Gareth's been discussing a thriller. I won't say anything more than the fact it's a thriller that I've been handed on to. And I know that by the time I've finished that, I'll be a thriller writer. I know that I'll just decide at that point, I'm not a comedy writer, I'm a thriller writer. So I guess it doesn't matter.
I think what's lovely about the three of us, and take today, for instance, NASA sent me some really good feedback that I was really like. Right. Yeah, but I was really chuffed you took the time to do it, because that's 54 pages, so that's a commitment just to read the thing, if I make it.
Well done, NASA. Well done.
But what's great about the three of us? One, we're all different. You know, like NASA's great at sort of like relationship stuff and domestic stuff, and then obviously Luke's got his comedy down, and
Garrett's not ginger.
I'm not hair, full stop. We'll never know.
How do you know?
We'll never know. And then there's me, sort of like flying the whole drama flag, and that's before even getting onto the scripts. But what's great is that when we come up with an idea or we write a script, is the support network. Like, we send them to each other, and because it's not necessarily Luke's. I mean, me and NASA, I think, cross over a lot more in terms of what's our area. I think that would be fair. But with all of us, is we send stuff over to someone who hasn't written it, who isn't so invested in it, although probably fairly invested, and you get that real sort of some really great feedback. Because it's one thing to get feedback from someone who's not a writer, and that's still important because the audience probably aren't writers, and that holds value. But to get feedback from someone who knows how difficult it is to do what we do is really valuable.
Feedback's so important. Sorry, but writing is such a lonely job sometimes, because it's normally just you in a room with a computer or a notepad or something. You just sat there on your own, writing for hours and hours. So you send it to someone, and then they come back with this lovely feedback or like this sheet of things that you can improve and stuff. It just makes you feel like then 6-7 hours you spent writing this like 30-page drama, 54-page in Gareth's case, is like it was worth it, you know. So
worst thing ever is to send a script to someone and just get thumbs up. Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
I mean, the one person probably outside of this, well, not the one person. There's lots of people who I get feedback from, but the lead actress in Karen, Orla Jones, she's far more just an actress, and she's a writer herself, not script writer, not as in like screenplays, but writes, and it really shows. quick shout out for her on like one of the only 2 episodes she's not been on. But it is the fact that I'm used to sending scripts to writers, to actors, and you get feedback, and that's all good, and they tell you if they like it or they don't. That's fine. But you can always tell when someone's a writer at heart because the detail in the feedback is so much more valuable. I'm not saying that everyone's feedback is important, because it is, but people like these guys and all who have got a background in writing, that feedback is always 9 times out of 10 more valuable, because they know what you're talking about, and they won't just say, "Oh, this bit's rubbish." They'll tell you how to fix it, because they know how to fix it, because they do it.
I guess when it comes to dialogue as well, it's but what works and what doesn't. I mean, I've done voice acting before where the script, like I've said something, I've been doing something, and I'd be like, it doesn't roll off the tongue, it doesn't feel right, and maybe we could try this, try that. How does that feel as a writer, Luke? When someone goes, "Your dialogue is terrible, I need to do it differently." How does that feel?
There's a right way of saying it. It's definitely true. That at times, someone will say it doesn't work, but other times I'll watch some of my stuff back. Like I'm pretty proud of Unstable, but there's a scene in Unstable which is like emotionally the most pivotal scene. Like is where like this kind of relationship's been set up. It leads to their first kiss. It's the middle of like his addiction. It's like it should be fantastic. What it is a character with no subtext saying exactly how he feels, and whenever I watch it back or I show the film to someone, I'm just like, I hate how that scene was. That in the long term, I wish that when I sent that script to someone and said, "What do you think?" they'd said, "Oh, I like this bit, but sort that scene out." And so in the long term, that sort of stuff's really important. And what's also important to any writers listening who are kind of don't think that their scripts are good or are getting too stressed over one thing, I like to just say a first draft is a first draft. It's called a first draft for a reason. Don't get yourself so fixated on it being perfect when you first send it out to people.
Don't go Joss Whedon on their ass when they're like, this doesn't read well. Get off my set! No, you got to listen to your talent, I guess. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, and just I think when you release something into the world as a writer, and it's a scary thing, but when you release it into the world, you have to open yourself up to feedback. You have to be aware when you're writing it that some people aren't going to like it. Never get feedback from one person either. Like, don't just especially not family. Don't just like send your script to your mum and go, "What do you think?" Because she'll probably say, "It's great work. Now do the hoovering." So don't go with that.
Talented baby.
But send it to people who you don't know well.
I won't name what the script was or the person, because I'm not about that. But I once got sent a script which was after it was like, it wasn't a screenplay. It was actually a novel, a short story thing, and it was already on Amazon to buy. You can self-publish in that, which I'm not knocking. I think that is fantastic in today's day and age. That's an opportunity. It's open to creators and things like ourselves. But anyway, I was reading it, and there's a lot wrong with it, to be honest. But I was reading it. But the biggest thing was like this one poor girl. She went and I think she died, and then like in the next chapter, she turned up at some guy's house to check on him, and I was like, hang on a minute, this doesn't. I had to reread it, and I was like, but am I getting this wrong? So I read it all through, and I was like, no, she definitely hangs herself. And then in the next scene, she's turning up in the car. There's no reference to marks around the neck or anything. It was like, so this doesn't sound right. And then I got in touch with the guy, and I said, I've read it, but my biggest concern is she's alive when she shouldn't be. And he was like, and he looked, he's like, oh my word, I didn't realize that. I better change it. And I'm like, people have paid for this. Like, they've actually sold this book. So definitely get feedback before you start selling it.
And reread and watch back your own stuff until you're bored to death of it. Like, it's not great to be at that point, but by the time the world saw Reduced to Clear, it wasn't funny to me anymore. That's what you need. You need things to be stretched out to the point, and then send it back to people. I think a guy once said to me, "You never finish a film; you just run out of time," which is true. You're always going to end up with stuff that you want to add, you want to change, but also just allow yourself to get really bored with it, and then send it out to someone again. work on it, reread it. You know, I'd even advise watching your own stuff or reading your own script, like while you're working on it, maybe like every day or two. Go back through it.
It sounds
and
really,
then
really.
Send it out.
It's Izzy versus Jess. Honestly, if you walked into this room out and you watched me writing Izzy versus Jess, my 54-pager that I've been doing recently, and I'm sat here and I'm literally like, there'll be I've got a script here. I think I'll just to give you an idea.
Just imagine you sat at the typewriter, because that's how class you are. Sting! I'm so hilarious.
That's why it all takes. That's why it takes so long for him to get scripts to us. He has to fax them over.
But yeah, basically, what will happen is that Jess, I say the lines out loud for a start. I literally say the scene out loud to myself. Yes. But I go as far as like, see, Jess line, where is everyone? Izzy line, who? What are you on about? Who is it you're looking for? And I'll genuinely do the accent as I'm doing it.
Yes. Well, Alex and I, when we were writing Reduced to Clear, we'd each time we'd have we'd end our writing session with, right, let's go from the top. Oop. Someone is mic and stage directions. Someone is every other customer. And we'd read between us and we'd do the scene. And then sometimes that's the point when you realize typos, because you don't realize your typos until you read it out loud. Back when I used to study GCSE computer science, they gave us all a rubber duck. And like one of the first lessons, and they went, when your code doesn't work, explain to your rubber duck why it doesn't work. And just in saying it out loud, you go, oh, that's it. And that's it. You know, just get yourself a rubber duck as a writer.
So you need all rocking us.
Gareth's my rubber duck.
It can't be easy though to like be like, okay, everybody, and everybody's looking at you, and use Reduced to Clear as an example. You got this shop, this made-up shop, all these people, the lighting people, the actors, everyone. All right, everybody, stop now. We need to just change this, and everybody's looking at you. And you've got to explain this situation. I could feel my face burning up, and the embarrassment, and all this sort of things as you're explaining something you've messed up with, or some direction somewhere, or something.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work. What you need is actors that feed back with you on that. Actors, which is why writing and directing together is great. Like, I want to give it a go, but I honestly can't see myself like long term writing something and then letting someone else direct it. Someone clip this a few years from now when I'm doing that, and I'll find out. But honestly, like, to be able to be the one to feed back on stuff, to work with actors on the day, and they deliver a line, and you go, that doesn't sound quite right in your voice. Swap those words around. Or what I do in directing, I know this doesn't meet the directors. What I do in directing is take one, the actors do it how they want to do it. I say to them, like, if a line doesn't work, or you don't like a line, say it how you want to say it. I do the first take exactly how you want to do it. Then if I don't like it, I'll start giving my directions from there.
Yeah. I mean, for me, even at the auditions, I know a lot of you, I know Al's obviously is at all of our auditions, albeit the ones coming up next month, but like, I never, even at that level, when there's a performance going on in front of me, I am not looking at that script. I am so focused on the performing, the acting. I'm not looking at it, and I don't think I know when I'm on a set and I'm doing a scene with someone. Obviously, it's someone else's job. It's not my job to be checking the script and that. But it's the last thing I'm thinking about. I mean, if it gets to a point in the performance that I need to check a script because something's gone that wrong, then we're in trouble. But actors who know their stuff, there shouldn't be a reason for me to be checking a script on a set, because it should just be it should be in there and in here, and you're good to go.
I remember scene 2 on Reduced to Clear, the scene with Ewan McIntosh. Ed had the whole exchange with Ewan, and in the first take, I knew that a line had been missed, but I was like, well, it still flows. I'm not I know some directors might be really strict to the script, so it's not an advice to all actors for everything, because if you end up with the next Kubrick, they'll probably got big problems with that. But I was like, I don't even see a point in saying to Ed, oh, you missed a line. He said it to me, I think, on the lunch break. He went, I think I missed a line, and I was like, but it worked, don't worry about it. Like, if you've got that flow, I could break that flow by telling you there's an extra line. That actor could then be sat doing that scene and going, hang on, I'm out of it now.
And on that, I know, like Luke said, we're not on a Meet the Directors episode, but one thing that is infuriating, and actors out there, please don't do this, is if you get it wrong, keep going unless we say cut. Because there is nothing worse than when you know you've gone wrong and you say, oh, made a mistake then. The only mistake you've made is by coming out of character. Just
at
going.
the auditions, there's someone will stumble over their word. And honestly, I don't think this is ever the deciding factor, but it does. It does affect our decision, I think.
Yeah, it does.
When someone's reading a scene, especially like we can't talk about it. The Allied auditions, big scene, the last one, big scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They do that scene, big emotional point, and they realize they briefly said the wrong word. Oh, hang on, I'm going to go from the top of the page again.
Yeah,
No.
and you're out of it. You're just like, what? Yeah.
I remember saying to them in the feedback, as I think you did, I said, those watching it on TV, they don't know what was written on your paper.
Yeah. Basically,
you don't have to prove them that you know it.
When the actor comes out of it, you might as well just turn the lights on.
Yeah.
You've literally just turned the lights on in the theatre. You just stopped the film. You pressed pause. You've ejected the disc. You've thrown it in the bin. It's just it's over once you do that. So definitely, and I've worked with some really really talented actors who do it just out of habit. So I'm not saying that you're a bad actor for doing it.
I think it makes sense because I think there is a kind of, I need to let them know that I know I've messed up. But maybe say that at the end.
It must take a real bit of discipline to be like not switch off because your character is following that dialogue, So
yeah.
But I remember the main thing that we said. Sorry, Al. When we cast Orla,
I'm trying to sit up in my chair.
And when we cast Orla, was that we weren't watching Orla Jones. We were watching Izzy Orchard in front of us.
Yeah.
Now, if in part way through that watching Izzy Orchard, she went, "Oh, sorry, I don't like that. Can I go from the top?" I'm not watching Izzy Orchard anymore. I'm watching Orla Jones. You've lost me.
Yeah.
And Orla Jones is in the chat. She says she's just enjoying being part of the process. Well, I think you're doing more than that. That Orla, you're a big part of the process. You
just a little bit.
Shona Jones as well. She says, "I hope Izzy isn't being killed off." I think that's something you said at the beginning.
Yeah. Episode 3 of series 1. Big surprise, guys.
Yeah. Imagine. That's Orla's mum, by the way, everyone. Who actually very kindly donated to the crowdfunding campaign that we did before Christmas. So thank you, Orla's mum.
Luke Allen is in the chat saying script, please, Gareth. And Dean as well. Alad himself is in scripts.
See, I don't mind when Dean says it. He doesn't say it to me every single day. But...
Oh no, I'll have a full conversation with Gareth on WhatsApp, and then partway through I'll just go, "How's the pilot script coming along? The one you promised us back in November. How's it going?"
My house could be on fire, right? And I could phone Luke. I don't know why I phoned Luke about that. But if I did phone Luke about that, and I said my house is on fire, like literally, like I need to get out, and I can't.
I'll say, hang on, does that mean that you're delaying the script?
Yeah, exactly.
You promised us Thursday, mate.
That's all he cares about.
Well, it's kind of a big part of the show there, Gareth, is the script. You turn up and be like, all right. How's it going?
You know what you said at the start about how you wrote your script and you just went, I'll just let them do it. The script will turn up on my desk and I'll just say, Orla will make it up. She knows what to do. Just a load of blank pages.
To be fair, she could. But but no,
completely ad lib. But because we're running short on time, and I want to get on to Sweetheart and show everybody what's going on with NASA there. But like procrastinating on a script that is being waited for, you've got a deadline. Gareth, where is the script and why is it taking so long to write it? Is this a genuine problem for writers?
Russell T Davies, in this book is regularly like 3 weeks, 4 weeks late on scripts. They're like about to shoot, and he's like, I should probably send them the script soon.
Of all the people to save me from that was Luke. That's really strange. I thought he'd be the first one to go in on me on that.
Sorry,
but in fairness, not that it's the same thing as obviously the pilot script, which is coming. Is Izzy versus Jess? That's like 54 pages. We shoot that in like less than 4 weeks, so it was kind of like felt that we definitely need that done because the pilot, as excited as everyone is, we shoot that in June. So I would be mad to put that ahead of Izzy versus Jess, just from the point of view of what needs to happen first. But
that's what you keep telling yourself. I mean,
but what I do hope is the fact that they've got that, and also the audition scenes for the Karen auditions we got coming up. The 5 scenes there, 3 of them which were original, 2 of them we're using old scenes from previous auditions. But the 3 we have done, I know the 5th one in particular. Got people a bit excited.
Jokes aside, what you produce is worth the time.
It's worth
fantastic.
Yeah, thank you guys. So I'll pay you later. But I probably have.
That'll be a first.
Wow. But I probably have churned out 200 pages in the last couple of weeks. So I hope that if nothing else, it fills you with confidence that when we do get it, it will be worth it. So
it's not easy because I'm dealing with the situation is, okay, so we've looked at these cellars underneath the streets of Shrewsbury. How do we end it? Thanks for looking at the cellar, guys. Bye. Black screen. No, I've got to try and end it. And that is still in my mind. I'm trying to think about that. Dean is in the chat. He says, big respect to all writers. I'm sure all the writers out there agree with you. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do.
This one does. What I will
Dean
say
hasn't seen writing, NASA and I. So he doesn't have.
He's literally talking
very quickly.
He's literally talking about me, which is totally fine. But but what I will say for Dean in particular is Izzy versus Jess, which I know we're going to somehow come on to in the short time we've got left. Is Alid, who obviously is Dean's character. He plays such an important part in that whole thing, because whilst it's all about Izzy and Jess, one thing that me and Luke were discussing for months was, how on earth do you set this up? Because there's so much that people who've been rocking us know what it's all about, bringing back our old character faced with our new character. But to an outside audience, how do you get that across? So without Alid, Dean Raymond's character, giving us that exposition, someone for all to bounce off.
We were this close to having the short film open with Gareth and I sat on a sofa going, so viewers, this is what you need to know.
Yeah, and that would have been such an uncreative way.
That was our best idea for a month.
Yeah. So, and then I literally went to come down. And this is another thing to think about, writers, is don't procrastinate, and it's me saying this, too much. Because when you start writing, it's weird how things just happen. So, and it.
But also, you write your best scripts when you're in the bath, when you're walking the dog, when you're out and about.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not a 9 till 5.
No, far from it. But yeah, so credit to Dean, because he has to travel in. You know, he's not local. He's going to travel in. And he's going to play his part in something which ultimately isn't an Alid heavy performance. But without his character, the whole thing doesn't even get off the ground. So thank you, Dean, for giving your time up for that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing Dean at the auditions at the next month. Okay, so NASA.
Hello.
Sweetheart. What is Sweetheart? Tell us all about what Sweetheart is.
So, Sweetheart's a short film, and it is a final phone call between two lovers, and it just kind of like looks at their two different situations and how they're going to say goodbye and come into terms. It's almost like grief before the person dies. So it's like like when someone deals with in terms of the pandemic, because I think that's where a lot of the unpredictability is relatable to like the everyday person. Is like, if you've lost someone to COVID or cancer or something that the outcome is going to be bad, you kind of have this build up of like coming to terms with losing that person. So it's like, essentially the phone call is going to be like, oh, we know that this person's going to die, and we watch the other character like realize that, say sorry, apologize and kind of.
You always was a beep.
Yeah. Well, kind of, maybe. You don't know. You haven't seen the script or the film.
Yeah.
So,
it's nice.
But yeah.
What I'm going to do is, because there is an Indiegogo crowdfunder there, I've put the link in the chat for both YouTube and Facebook. So please, if you want to help a local creator make something very special, please click on the link. If it's a $5, couple of quid, even if it's more, please help out.
And what I will say for Sweetheart and for NASA in particular, is it was on the. I don't think it was a Sweetheart script specifically, but other stuff that I've seen her do, that she sent me. On the back of that alone, I was like, I want you to guest write on Karen.
For a long time, Gareth promised me, "Hey Luke, I'm going to give you a script, and give you one script, and you'll be the only person who gets this opportunity."
Oh,
and then he phones me up a couple of weeks later and goes, "So NASA's writing for us."
Yeah.
And then Sweetheart turned up on my desk, and I went, "Yeah, all right."
Yeah. She kicked the door down. I've only known her since August from Reduced to Clear, but she absolutely kicked the door down. And everyone
Pay
can say
attention to your sound people, film folks. By the way, don't ignore your sound department. Amy NASA held the boom. That's how we know her. And then she comes out and churns out Sweetheart.
But the thing is,
one of the best scripts I've ever read.
What I will say for NASA is I know everyone's saying nice things about me at the moment, but my scripts, but she is better at her age than I was when I was that age. So it's frightening where she could end up.
I feel bad for you so much.
Well, what we'll do is we'll watch the campaign video for Sweetheart. I'll let you guys watch in decide. But I think it's beautiful. I watched it. I was like, oh my god, that's so visually brilliant. So we'll play this. We'll come back after that, and then I want to touch on the intergenerational sort of link between all of this. Okay, afterwards. So here is the campaign trailer for Sweetheart. Enjoy.
There's something about telling stories that excites me. Putting different characters in different situations and seeing how each one reacts. Maybe their words change or their voice begins to tremble. Maybe their hands shake and they start to cry. Or maybe they get. Maybe they just stop. Forget what it feels like to be a human. But what if two characters had a connection so rare and so deep that they can't even begin to imagine life without the other? That the thought of the other one not being there terrifies them so much. How would they heal? Who would they be? Who are they now? Who was they? What character are they now? Because in some ways, we're all characters, forever changing in the moment, forever changing at the extent of others. It's crazy how different people and different situations can alter that character, how they can change who we are, and that the character we begin our life with will never be the person we end it with. And in short, that's what Sweetheart is.
Let me just unmute myself, unmute Gareth, unmute. That's what I had to do. I had to go around and mute everybody so it didn't sound different.
Sorry, I was going to say, trying to give that really quiet clap didn't really.
Oh, stop. Sorry.
What I will say for that, having done my fair share of promos in the past, to do a promo without music is so brave. That takes guts.
Yeah. I don't know. It felt like it just, because I was just sat there and I was thinking about the project, and it was kind of like, I think I wrote it late at night or whatever. I was just feeling a bit lost on where it was going, and I was just thinking of like what I was feeling for the project, and then all these words just started coming. I was just like, let's do it.
Where's our host gone?
I don't know.
Al. I know we're both bald, but don't leave me hanging.
I didn't know that was even possible.
He's back. That's all right.
Well, what happened? I just got kicked out my own blooming
I thought, am I meant to be Al for a few minutes? But luckily you came back before I
Sorry
did
about
any
that.
lasting
Natty,
it's all right.
You were just telling me. I think it's my my internet. It's because YouTube's like, you can't do two things at the same time. But no, NASA, I was very impressed with that. And what I was going to say was, not using music, I think really helped the visuals. You kind of sort of focus in on it, and it actually adds to the emotion.
Yeah, I mean, I said when we first started making it that I wanted it to be that I see what they see and the ears hear what they hear. Like, I don't want, it just has to be honest and vulnerable. And I think
you achieve that.
How old are you again? 18, isn't it? You're 18.
Yeah, 19 in February. End of February.
She's 18. It's ridiculous.
To
produce stuff like that at 18. Wow. So yeah, fair play to you. And I hope that my biggest takeaway from this particular episode, Al, I don't know about you, because obviously everyone knows me, everyone knows Luke, because we're relatively local and we do a lot of stuff. But I think that the likes of Orla and Dean and that, who are obviously as the actors waiting for the scripts to come through when we get to the series, having seen this show, knowing that she's going to write an episode, that should get them excited. If it doesn't, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah, NASA, can you break into the spoken word poetry scene as well? Because the pacing of that, I'm not a spoken word fan particularly. Not that I've tried to get into it too much.
You
but
have a
listening to that,
podcast. It's the same sort.
Well, no, it's not, is it? Me chatting rubbish for 2 hours is not the same as what
it is. If you want people to listen, you got to sound at least a little bit okay. You can't be like, I get what you mean, though. Yeah. I get
but in all honesty, that as a promo, that is art.
See, the thing is, we spoke about it off air, I think, before we came on the show. That is so different to what we did with Orla and Dean for the Karen crowdfunder. Both work probably as well as each other, but it's the fact that within Rocking Horse you've got two entirely different styles, both working well. I think it's really exciting.
That's what makes us work.
Orla says, "Whoa, NASA!"
Yeah, you got a fan. You've got a fan.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we should do an episode based on intergenerational education, because I feel like we could fill a whole episode about how old timers like me and Gareth are learning a lot from the youth, and the youth are learning a lot from us. There's this symbiotic sort of relationship going on there, where life experiences is Gareth's sort of department, and the academics your support, and also a change in how we enjoy our media, how things have changed. There's a different medium for things all the time, whether it's TikTok or social media, different types of films, different camera rates, the new screen resolutions. All things are constantly changing. We can all learn from each other, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what sets us apart. I think from a lot of other independent productions is that it's not one person just saying, right, this is the way it is, and because no one gets it right all the time. But the three of us, that our style, not just styles of writing, but as people, we're so different. Me and Luke had a meeting yesterday, and the person with the meeting with, who knows me relatively well and met Luke for the first time, and they were
yesterday, I think.
Day before yesterday, sorry, yeah. And she was saying that you two, pretty much what she was getting at was you two shouldn't work. You shouldn't be able to work together, because our worldviews are totally different. Like if Luke found a wallet on the floor, he would do something very different with it than what I would do. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
so we are just. I'm not saying I'm a thief, by the way, and I'm not saying Luke's a thief, but that's just one example of how our attitudes in every sense are so different.
Gareth would take commission for his time.
Yes.
Demand the reward.
but yeah, it is fascinating, and I want to give a sort of huge shout out to you, Gareth, as Rocking Horse as well, for taking the risk of us young people and allowing us the opportunities to do stuff. Yeah, because quite frankly, I've been applying for film stuff, like on film sets, film jobs and stuff since I was 14, 15. And quite frankly, most places won't take me. Safeguarding reasons make sense a little bit, but for the most part, it's like, well, you can't be a filmmaker. You're 15, which is scary, because it means the moment you turn 18, you're competing with everyone who's been waiting since they've been 14, 15, and those who just decided yesterday that they wanted to get into film all together in one go. So the idea that Gareth is able to give some people like us a voice, a chance to make the stuff that we want to make, and to be treated as equals with those of you who, you've been working in, on one project for 8 years. It's insane. My longest term project has been like a year. And so to know that you treat us with the same level of respect as we treat you is honestly like one of a kind.
It's incredibly reassuring, and it really sets a bar for like how film should be, and how.
I mean, I know that we spoke on a different podcast, because I was on a different show. I'm really sorry, but we did go on a different. Yeah, I know. And it came up then, that NASA in particular had been given a pretty sort of dealt a fairly unfortunate hand before she produced a clear in terms of who she was working with, a producer type, and she felt that, this is just the way the industry is, which it is in a lot of ways, unfortunately, that she was getting talked down to and treated, the way, not how she should have been. Comes and meets us and realizes that for all of the jokes and the banter and me being fairly inappropriate most times of the day, is that beyond all of that is that you can work with people. Just because you're young doesn't mean you should get talked down to or disrespected. You're not here to feed our ego. Your opinions matter as much as mine do.
And on an artistic level, it can be difficult, though, as well, is, the film industry is a very competitive industry. It would also be very easy for you to view us as rivals, for you to not want to give us that step up, and to kind of, because I felt it to a really small level, is like at points until recently, because I started realizing that own train of thought, that I'd be talking to someone and they, they'd be like, oh, I'm a filmmaker. And I'd be thinking, all that I define myself by is also all that you define yourself by. We can't both be making stuff. Come on, which one of us is better? Which I think is difficult. But in the competition film festival world, that's the way your brain is kind of trained to. It's who's better. Whereas the opportunities which you're doing, which is so much better, is the concept of, well, look, we're both writers. Let's work together.
Yeah, honestly,
and I think that is the best approach, and that's the approach that I've been taking since Reduced to Clear. But before then, I was scared of other filmmakers, frankly.
And what I will say for you two, and not just you two, but the likes of Orla and Dean and the likes as well, is that for a long time, it's fairly well documented that with Karen is a spin-off, well, it's far more than that now, but it was originally a spin-off of a feature film idea that didn't happen for one reason or another. There were numerous ones. The film never got made. Jess Andrews, the autistic character, was the focal point of that, and got to a point, obviously, when the alcoholism kicked in as well. When no getting away from it, I was being laughed at. Jess as a character was almost symbolic of failure. It was just, that's never going to happen. She's never going to be anything. And now we're at a point with Vizzy versus Jess coming up, and the feedback I've had from you guys and the amount of respect that you've got for a character that you've not actually even seen in the flesh yet, really means an awful lot to me. So as far as I'm concerned, I've always said if you're good enough, you're old enough. But the respect you guys have got, I've been around people far more experienced, quote unquote, older people who you would expect to give you the respect and to give you a chance. And you guys have been far more respectful and open and kind and supportive than they have. So age really is just a number.
Oh, beautiful. Well, you guys are all great. You're all great. And you come on my podcast and we talk about stuff, and it's really
love
cool.
it.
Really
love
cool.
it.
But we need to talk about the Jess and Izzy thing, and I got to promote an announcement thing here that I want to share with you guys. We'll share this. We'll do a quick bit of chat, Luke, and then we'll get.
I've got a thing to plug at the end, if that's okay. Wednesday, you know what I mean.
That's on my list to tell
lovely.
people. So I'll be there too. Right, okay, let's do that. Wait there. Share this full screen. Mute everybody.
For Sport Relief in 2022, we're going to do something a little bit different.
Have you seen this?
We're going to be bringing you two people who should never ever meet, and on any other night of the year, in any year, would never meet. Not like this.
It's also very non-canon.
Very non-canon.
Very
this will never happen. We're going to be bringing together the face that was of Rocking Horse Studios.
My name is Christy Kelly, and I am playing the lead role in Ostrich's community feature film Run for Your Life.
And the face that is now Rocking Horse Media.
My name's Orla, I'm 20 years old.
And it's not us two.
I was like, what, really? I was like, you are. It's so funny because Steph is like, would you like to be our Izzy? You've got the part. And I'm like, but really. And basically there's just this really awkward pause of nothing. And then I go, I'd be honoured. I'd be honoured.
We've got a brand new face of the business, which has come out of nowhere, who everyone's looking forward to working with, and she's become a big part of the family. But it's always been in the back of my mind that we never really got the chance to say goodbye and pay the respect that we should do to the last person who was the face of the business.
Where is everyone?
Our previous project, which didn't quite work out the way we wanted it to at the time, surrounding autism, surrounding anti-bullying, and Jess, the character Jess, we wanted to find a way to go back to that and just make people aware we haven't forgotten. There is unfinished business there, and to give the actress who played that part a chance to sort of sign off on her own terms.
The film we are making is about my character Jess, who is an autistic athlete struggling with college life and bullying.
And that was the first time I was like, oh wow, Christy can really act.
I know, I'm sorry, I promise.
I saw that and I was very overwhelmed by her performance, where it's like, oh yeah, she can share a scene with Orla Jones, and that is a that is a high standard to any actor. If I say of an actor they can share a scene with Ola Jones, then they've done a good job.
You're not taking Jessica.
What, you think I'd leave her here with you?
With the fact that I was not very aware of the Run for Your Life stuff until this conversation, I started asking more questions about it. I got so excited. I think people can appreciate this as followers of Karen and not followers of Run for Your Life, or as followers of Run for Your Life and not followers of Karen.
Two worlds are about to collide.
I think we're in for a real treat.
Well, let me unmute everybody. That's how we have to do things now. What is this? Go away, Bill Bailey. Right, okay, that was great. That was brilliant.
It was a real honor to be asked to be in that video, honestly. Like, it's your 8-year project that it felt like I kind of won some sort of competition to, sneak my way in the video.
Do you know what it did to me personally? And this is a guy who's just literally just come into this whole thing, right? Seeing all of there from the auditions and smiling, seeing everybody. That's the part where I sort of entered all this, really, and seeing all that back is kind of like, oh, that's really nice to see. So there's a progression here that I'm really liking. I'm enjoying this.
And also, let's be honest, we say it's a progression, and you're absolutely right. It is, but we cast all it in what, like November, 3 months ago? It's been only 3 months.
No, it hasn't. You're lying.
Yeah, it's been 3 months since that audition, which changed everything, up until now, and bringing Christy back, and 3 months. We've done all that. I've done more in 3 months than I did in 8 years. So,
so we've actually got longer until we filmed the pilot than when we first saw that as like a feasible thing. I might not be too fussy about the scripts now, to be honest.
What I will say, from a personal point of view, as the writer of Jess originally, now Izzy, is it's very, very rare that you get what are meant to be from two different projects, your two favorite characters, to be given an opportunity to bring them together, played by the right actors. Because you got to remember, Ola doesn't need to do this. Christy doesn't need to do this. This is not like a contractual thing. This isn't part of Karen. It's not part of Run for Your Life. Christy doesn't need to come back and play Jess one last time, but she wants to. Ola's prepared to do it to help. She thinks it's important that Christy gets this send off. But to be given an opportunity, we are honestly talking. It's like Tyson fighting Ali. It's like, this shouldn't be possible, and we're very, very lucky that we get to see it come to life. So I'm absolutely humbled that it's even a possibility.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it all develop. I really am. We are running short of time, but thank you so guys for today. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. It's like I've written, these are my notes for today, people's names, like I said, and we've just had this amazing discussion. So thank you so much. Well done us.
Yeah, well done us.
On Wednesday, if you want to see Luke Allen in the flesh, they are.
That made me uncomfortable, and I'm Luke Allen.
You can look, just don't touch, all right? But Wellington Orbit, the guy, a big shout out to the guys at Wellington Orbit. They're doing like a podcast to content creators, almost like a conference where people can go and talk and listen to and network, and it sounds like a really amazing thing, actually. So if you're a content creator or a podcaster and you're in the Shropshire area, you want to get involved, make sure you follow Wellington Orbit on Facebook.
Yeah, like they sent me an email about a week ago or something, saying we've got this event coming up. Do you want to come and give a bit of a talk? And my motto has always been say yes before I then figure out what to do.
Okay, let me make a note of that.
Well, no, when it's feasible and when it doesn't compromise my values, of course. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, sure. And then next thing I know, like I'm being promoted as like, I'm the speaker who's in the event. I was like, I didn't realize I was the speaker, and I didn't realize. I'm suddenly like, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. So be prepared. Please come for the event and for all the networking. Yeah. I've never written a 15-minute speech before. I've got a heck of an opening line. If you can stay really like that opening line for about 15
don't
minutes,
do that. Don't take a joke and put it on a pedestal. I'll give you an ironic laugh if it's terrible.
Well, it's not even a joke. It's a hook.
when does this ever happen? When the director's speech is going to be longer than his film?
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. It happens a little bit too much, to be fair. But yeah, it's going to be a fun night. I've got a really interesting talk planned. In all seriousness, it's called If You Don't Ask, and it's all about just the point of asking and how to ask and how asking has got me where I am so far. So yeah.
I've only seen like snippets, but from what I've seen, you're in for a treat if you can get there.
Yeah. And it's completely free. So
it's free.
Come along, chat with people. It's evening of Wednesday. I can't remember the exact time. It might be like 7:30-ish.
7:15, I believe.
7:15. There we go. I know I should know the time. I just know
I'll be there. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I don't care if Luke Allen that's there. I'm definitely going to be involved. I'm the biscuit guy. I've got to be there. And so if you make content and you want to get involved with fellow people like yourselves, please get involved. It's on Eventbrite.
Or even if don't worry about your status or whatever either. Like if you want to make content, just come, just turn up.
Or even if you're bored, and you want something free.
It's free, isn't it? It's cold outside. It's raining.
Need an alibi for the night, just get down there. It's Wellington, But, sorry, I have shares in that cinema. I love that cinema. Just putting it out there. Are we still live? We are, aren't we?
Yeah, we are still live. We best get out of it though, because Gareth's losing the will to kind of people.
To be fair, he's managed 1 hour 18. That's
I've done all right, haven't I? I've done pretty good. To be fair,
this has been the longest Horses and Biscuits we've done.
I know,
yeah.
Just wait till the edited version's half an hour.
And
I'm going to do it in 4-part series.
Al, I'm sure you're going to mention it anyway, but I thought just very quickly, quick shout out for next time. We're going to have Orla Jones, of course, and Christy Kelly, Izzy and Jess. Nice Izzy and Jess special coming up. So shut up us writers up for a bit and talk to the guys on camera.
Absolutely. I think Luke Allen's done enough talking for a couple of episodes anyway. He's fine.
Yeah, 100%.
He's not even denying it. He's like, yeah.
Well, I haven't done podcasts properly for ages. Like I've just not been signing on to guest spots like I do. So I get in front of the microphone and I go, ooh. And also because I used to host. I used to host shows. I go into host mode when I'm in front of a microphone. Yeah. So just tell me to shut up. You do, but do tell me to shut up when it's
shut up. You've done well. Right. You've done all right.
Guys, I'd like to let you guys know how you can follow the Shrewsbury Biscuit as well, and follow us because obviously this is done between the Shrewsbury Biscuit and Rocking Horse. You can check out our website, which is the shrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk. All of our content, all our podcasts are all on there. You can learn all about us. You can literally press play and listen to a podcast directly off the website, and that's made for us by our friends at Web Orchard. If you need a podcast, they make fantastic websites. I thought that was my Web Orchard thing. I don't know where it's gone. Well, there, Web Orchard. Check them out. They'll make a great website just for you, like they did for us. Right, and let's get out of it. Gareth, actually, social media and stuff. Rocking Horse.
Lo, do you want to do it? Since you pretty much are the social media guy for apart from
Facebook, I was just typing it. I was just typing it in the chat then. So you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On Instagram, we are at rocking_horse_media. On Facebook, we are Rocking Horse Media. You just search us up, you'll find us there. And on Twitter, we are at RH Media ENT, which I know is annoying. In saying it, I'm like, but it's fine. It's just search Rocking Horse Media and Entertainment. It'll probably come up. You'll find our stuff. You'll see all our stuff. I need to update Twitter. Our banner says "Very Merry Christmas" from the Rocking Horse family. But yeah, go follow us. rockinghorsemedia.co.uk.
And also, we have one slot left because I think it sums up how ridiculously well the campaign's going for the Karen auditions. Because small matter, we need a title character for a Karen drama we're doing. Just that little thing. We'll just add that in at the end. But we've literally got one slot left. We've got 11 Karens coming to audition. We've got one slot left, and after that, we're going to go to a short list. And self-tapes and stuff. So if you're interested, info@rockinghorsemedia.co.uk. Get in touch quick because there's only one more opportunity to audition.
Or Keith. I keep saying that.
Or Keith, yeah. Or Keith.
Yeah, Al, the slot's still open.
Yeah, no, it's still there.
I got to decide whether I'm going to be, the main character of this amazing thing or podcast genius. I don't know which one I'm going to do.
I
can't do both. I can't be like, and as he's walking up to the mic now, and I rush around. I'm like, "Hi, my name's Keith."
Can we have Al do audio description for the DVD?
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. NASA, if you want people to follow you, especially with the sweetheart stuff, have you got social media handles?
Yes. Instagram's the best place to find me. I'm at amy.buzzfilm. However, if you also want to follow the sweetheart page, it's sweetheart_shortfilm. Both on Instagram. That's where you can contact me, DM me, whatever. Enjoy it,
Cool. Right, let's get out of here because this has been going on for a long time. You guys have been amazing, though. Regardless of how long this episode's gone, I've enjoyed chatting to you. Thank you to everybody in the comments that's been dropping a nice things to say. If you haven't, then shame on you. Shame. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.
See you later.
Toodle.